Welcome back. Now for your 5-day weather forecast, we go outside to Alicia Parchment.
Looks like the sun will be shining bright for the rest of the week. Let's take a look at your 5-day weather forecast. Today we'll have sunny skies with a few cloudy periods and a high of 12. Tonight we'll get a little chilly as we dip down to 0. Thursday will be mainly sunny with a few clouds and we'll have a high of 8 and a low of 0. Looking ahead to the Easter long weekend, Friday will be sunny with a high of 12 and a low of -1. The sun will stick around on Saturday where we can expect a high of 14 and a low of 0. On Sunday, it looks like we'll get some sun and some April showers and we'll have a high of 15 and a low of 3. And that's it for your 5-day weather forecast. Now back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Alicia. 1,100 civilian jobs will be lost in the Department of Defense. The cuts are in response to last week's federal budget, which seeks to save Ottawa $5.2 billion. Every department will feel the crunch. More than 19,000 civil servants across the country are expected to lose their jobs. But the Department of Defense is the hardest hit. It's expected to cut more than $1 billion from its budget.
The defense cuts come a day after the Auditor General's report. The report says the department is misleading Parliament about the true multi-billion-dollar cost of new fighter jets. The Conservatives announced plans to purchase F-35s in 2010 and have stayed with the plan despite controversy. In the wake of the report, Prime Minister Stephen Harper announced the $9 billion for the jets will be put on hold. The government is looking into other options for Canada's next generation fighter.
Texans are waking up to assess the damage after a number of tornadoes swept through the state. The National Weather Service says between 6 and 13 tornadoes touched down in North Texas yesterday. Police and fire officials say 13 people in Arlington and Lancaster were injured. Arlington's mayor says 150 homes were destroyed, and at Dallas-Fort Worth Airport, more than 100 planes were damaged by hail. Tornado season stretches from March to June, with April typically being the worst month.
The Syrian government says troops have begun to pull out of the battle-torn areas of Homs and Idlib, but international observers are saying shelling and gunshots continue between the rebels and the army. UN observers have entered the Middle East country in anticipation of the ceasefire due April 10th. The permanent U.S. representative in the UN, Susan Rice, says the Syrian army's actions recently does not encourage hope they will adhere to the UN's peace plan. On Tuesday, at least 58 civilians were killed during the fighting.
China's premier says the world's second-largest economy will begin to open up the country to private banks. Wen Jiabao says he wants to break up the monopoly of public banks. He says it's too easy for China's public banks to accrue profits, making it difficult for citizens to borrow money. Jiabao says the Chinese government is unified in this decision.
And now with your sports news, here's Kate Foster.
Thanks, guys. Here's your sports news update. NHL action is heated as playoff battles continue. The Leafs tried to take down the Buffalo Sabres again after their win on Saturday, but lost in overtime after a promising start with a 3-0 lead in the first period. This leaves the Sabres battling the Washington Capitals for the 8th and final playoff spot in the Eastern Conference. The New York Rangers clinched the top spot in the East after their 5-3 win over the Philadelphia Flyers. It was a highly charged game between the rivals that came on the heels of Flyers coach Peter Laviolette getting fined $10,000 after Monday's game against the Penguins, where he called out Pittsburgh coach Dan Bylsma. The San Jose Sharks held on to the 8th spot in the West after beating the Dallas Stars 5-2. This was an important win for the Sharks, giving them a 3-point lead over the Stars, who trail them sitting in the 9th. Phoenix Coyotes goaltender Mike Smith is on fire these days, earning his 3rd straight shutout against the Columbus Blue Jackets. With an impressive 54 saves, the Coyotes blanked the Blue Jackets 2-0. The Toronto Raptors managed to pull off a second win, beating the Charlotte Bobcats 92-87. This is the Raps' second back-to-back win since January 2010, and they hope to make it 3 in a row tonight in Philadelphia, facing the 76ers. And baseball fans, listen up. The highly anticipated day we've all been waiting for has finally arrived. Today marks opening day round 2 for Major League Baseball, and the World Series champions, St. Louis Cardinals, will travel to face the rebranded Miami Marlins at their brand new stadium. Toronto fans, you've got one more day to wait, as the Blue Jays will play their first game of the official season against the Cleveland Indians tomorrow afternoon. And all your NCAA March Madness action is officially over, with the Baylor Bears taking the women's championship last night at the Pepsi Center in Denver. Brittany Griner is surely going down in basketball history for leading her team, hailing from Waco, Texas, to an 80-61 win over the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Griner's impressive 26 points, 13 rebounds, and 5 blocks sealed the deal. This is Baylor's second national championship, and this season they became the 7th women's team to go unbeaten for the entire season. They were untouchable with 40 straight wins and are the first team in NCAA history to achieve that. Humber Athletics has wrapped their best year ever in provincial collegiate sport history and celebrated with their annual awards banquet. Congratulations to all players and coaches, but especially the athletes of the year: Adrian Cord, Terrell Bramwell, Kayla Marino, and Vicky Seaman. That's all for your sports news update. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Kate. After the break, we'll get the latest in entertainment from Philip Messiel.
The name's Bond, James Bond, and he has the city of Toronto in his crosshairs. And you're here, there's nothing to fear. Titanic will likely make waves at the box office. I have your entertainment news right after the break.